breaking news to get to. Rapper Rich Homie Quan has died. That is according to TMZ. His legal name, DeQuantis Lamar.
Reportedly died at the age of 34. Passed away at his home in Atlanta today. No word on a cause of death.
Nowhere I be going in on these beat. You know what I'm saying? I just want to keep these people here doing how I do. Rapper would probably be the most dangerous job in the world.
In this video, we'll be discussing the recent passing of the music artist Rich Homie Quan. Rich Homie Quan, aka DeQuantis Devontae Lamar, was born on October 4th, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was born to parent Corey Lamar. Before he got into music, he had a special interest in reading for baseball and played for 4 years while he was in high school. He dreamed of playing professionally and played varsity level as freshman at Fort Valley State University. He wasn't able to further his college career due to tuition expenses and dropped out after 2 weeks. He ended up working at an airport, but after he got that, he lost the job and he ended up getting involved in burglaries and ended up spending 15 months in jail due to it. After he got out of jail, he started taking music more seriously. At first he saw it as a hobby and didn't see himself going far with it. His music was heavily influenced by Dirty South music like Jeezy, T.I., Gucci Mane, Outkast, and many, many more. He started his rap career officially in 2011. In 2012, he dropped his first song from his mixtape, Still Going In. The song was called Differences. In 2013, he toured with the rapper Trinidad James, and he was also featured in Gucci Mane's album Trap House III, and was in songs like I Heard, Can't Trust Her, and Chasing Paper. In 2013, one of his songs went viral, which many of you may know, Type of Way. The song hit number 50 on Billboard Hot 100. He was considered an independent artist, but he was also considering signing to Cash Money Records in August 2013. He was featured in the song My Ninja by YG and Young Jeezy. On May 6, 2014, he went back to his home state to shoot a video for his song Walk Through with LA rapper Problem. Hours after the shoot, it was reported that he had 2 seizures and ended up falling and cracking his head. He then cleared the rumors by telling Billboard that he only fainted and hit his head. He stated it had nothing to do with drugs. In September 2014, he was a part of a mixtape called Rich Gang The Tour Part 1. Also featured in the 2014 XXL freshman class. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a bunch of rappers that are barely coming up, and they basically do a bunch of cyphers. Sometimes they collab, sometimes they duke it out in songs, if you are not aware of what they are, but they used to be my favorite thing. When I was a teenager, I used to really enjoy watching them. February 2015, him, Tyga, Wale, Kid Ink, and YG released a song called Ride Out, which is a part of the soundtrack for Furious 7. On April 2015, he dropped a single called Flex Ooh Ooh Ooh, which saw further success on Billboard's at number 26. At this point, he started collaborating with more well-known artists and continued to drop music of his own throughout the years as well. On September 5th, 2024, there was a 911 phone call in regards of Rich Homie Quan. Told 911 dispatch that he was on the couch in the morning and had not moved when she returned from taking her son to school. She states in the call that she couldn't feel a heartbeat and couldn't feel him breathing. When she turned his body over, she noticed that he was foaming at the mouth. He later died at the Atlanta hospital on September 5th at the age of 33. An autopsy was performed and we are still awaiting results, but there is still suspicion of a suspected drug overdose. An officer that was at the scene, he mentions that he didn't inspect foul play. He didn't seem to be alert, conscious, or breathing. Girlfriend said that he didn't have any underlying health issues, but there's been new details that has been circulating around his death. He was initially found on the floor in the kitchen of his home by his brother Andre around 3 a.m. His brother believed that he had fallen asleep, but he found it odd because he had food in his mouth, so he moved him to the sofa where his girlfriend found him. At 11 a.m., his girlfriend woke up and observed his body and noticed that he was cold. That's when she decided to call 911. Since his passing, his funeral will be public service according to his father, so his fans and family can say their final goodbye. Many rappers came out with their tribute, like Sexy Red, Offset, and even his close friend Young Thug, who is currently I think awaiting trial for RICO charges. If he did pass away from an overdose, he was very open about his drug use in past interviews and how it affected his relationships, his family, and his performance.
First started making that music, I didn't know Miley. You feel me? So I had to get back just to myself, like, this ain't, you ain't going out like that, little bro.
Right.
I'm not going out like that, man.
Right.
All I think about, boy, they already say like David Ruffin. That's when I used to have a rich homie Tim.
Yeah.
He was like, but David Ruffin. And I ain't like, nah, he was a drug. Nah, he wasn't out on drugs. Don't compare me. Don't say I look like him. And I don't, and that shit was, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I shook that shit, bro. Yeah. I shook it, man. Cause like one day I had to look at myself outside of myself. I had to look at myself outside. I'm like, boy, you tripping. You tripping. Man, like, real talk.
Yo, a lot of artists have sat in that chair and talked about those times. I was shocked when Meth been on the show 3 times. Method Man, shout out to Method Man.
Shout out, yeah, big shout out.
And it wasn't until the 3rd time that he talked about just a stretch of time that he was on ecstasy.
Listen, ecstasy, bro, I ain't gonna lie. Ecstasy, when I don't encourage drugs, but
yeah, no, we're not encouraging.
Yeah, we're not encouraging, but bro, that was the best. This is the best shit ever. Like that and weed, bro. Cause I just told you, bro. It make you wanna fuck. It make you like, bro. I'm fucking like a motherfucker. I'm rapping like a motherfucker, and I'm up.
Right.
I'm up. Like.
Right.
You know, like I say, for that time.
Yo, they need to find some natural shit
like they
that can just boost your serotonin and have your shit. You come back down.
Listen. Nigga ain't eat, nigga losing weight. Cause you don't eat while you on it, you losing weight. And I'm thinking every day, like, damn, when last time you ate Quan? I never had some noodles. You ain't gonna get no green, no protein. I don't noodles straight. What? Boot up.
Word.
What nigga doing?
Your body's feasting on itself.
Come on, man. Bro, then like, I don't even know how I got off, but like I said, one day I just woke up like, damn. I don't even want to keep snapping on the kids like that. I'm snapping on the kids for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, damn, like that, bro, you tripping. You tripping. I think my mama like told me, like, you all right? And when she said that, like, you can notice it. Oh, nah, that mom dude, but I gotta chill out. Right.
Saying a few things because I know that, like, there's already, like, a lot of conspiracies surrounding his death. If he did pass away from taking a pill, that is allegedly that's been circulating right now, it is very unfortunate because he is leaving behind 4 children and his girlfriend Amber Williams. He was very open about his drug use, and he did say that he used Molly in the past, and several interviews. I've looked up several interviews and he always mentioned how he used Molly and how it made him very, very like kind of skittish. He made it seem like it was very like he was kind of like snappy at times, and then there's times where he was really good in his performance. Like a lot of his songs that he produced, he was on some sort of influence, under an influence, and it is really unfortunate that he went out that way because it seemed like there was times where he looked like he wanted to get his life together, and then there was times where he just kind of fell back into that habit of going back to that said clutch, the drugs. There's been a lot of interviews about him being open about his drug use, and my favorite one so far, Math Hoffa, that one was a really good interview because there was a bunch of people that were sitting around and they were talking about, you know, their struggles with mental health and drug use. And what is really inspiring a little bit about this whole thing was that he was able to be vulnerable in this spot, and yeah, he kind of covered it with jokes, but it was very, very good of him, and honestly pretty brave of him to be vulnerable in front of millions of people like that, because I know that it's not easy for men, especially Black men, to be very vulnerable in that type of state. But this is not like the first time it's happened. He's kind of had a few run-ins with the law with said drug use, and this is not also the first time someone passed away from a drug overdose. This is just an unfortunate thing that keeps happening. I don't really know why it keeps happening, honestly, on why there's so many vulnerable rappers that get into this scene and then they end up passing due to always an overdose. Most of the time, the people that I've grown up watching, listening to, has most likely passed away from either getting shot or getting passed away from an overdose. I think the one that hurt the most for me in the last few years was probably Mac Miller, for example, because in his songs he was talking about how he was struggling with his mental health, and since we're all used to like vibing with this song, we weren't really like sitting and really like listening to the lyrics, but he was literally crying out for help in a lot of his albums. And I think you can't really tell with Rich Homie Quan because his songs are very like upbeat and they're meant to be made to have fun and not really like really think about like really the hardships of life. He used it as like a way to connect with Atlanta culture and people in his age group, all that stuff. I grew up listening to Rich Homie Quan. At the age of 12, 13 years old, I was introduced to him, and I think the first song that I heard was probably Type of Way. It was actually one of my favorite songs by him. I heard him in a lot of features. He was in a lot of features and songs, and yeah, he was really like out there, and it seemed like he was really going like getting up there with notoriety and stuff, but I didn't hear much about him for like a really long time up until this month in September of this year, because I didn't know he was still producing music until I did the research. I think that we should not ignore signs of when people are in need. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell, but it's never hard. It doesn't ever hurt to ask someone how they are and check up on them and stuff like that. I never lost anyone to drug use, like drug abuse, but I have known someone that did pass away from drug abuse, like maybe 2015. I didn't really know him that much, but I knew that he was like my neighbor's baby daddy, and he was like really sweet. He was very handsome. He always seemed very clean, and like he always had this really good vibe to him. I never really had complaints. He always said hi to my mom and I, and when I found out he passed, I was very sad because I used to see him in the apartment complex picking up my mom's friend's son or just hanging out at the apartment. And so when I stopped seeing him, I was like, oh, like this is real, like this is happening. But he used to have like the biggest smile. He was like really chill. Like I don't really have anything to say personally to me. Like he always was super nice to me when I was younger. I didn't know him for very long, but just that interaction, the few interactions that I did have with him, it was always good. I never felt uncomfortable, but I did know that he was struggling. I know that it's very hard for people to like be vulnerable about it, especially when it comes to like men. I could not find like information on his upbringing, and I feel like his upbringing possibly had to do with his drug use, because you know it seemed like before he got really serious with music, he started kind of like, he was already showing signs that he was kind of like acting out, and people don't just do that out of the blue. They don't do that just because. It's normally like a survival thing. It could be an upbringing thing. They didn't have much. They could have lived in like the hood areas, the projects, and they didn't have much, so they stole to survive. It is unfortunate. I was really upset and devastated by the news when I heard it, because I feel like a lot of rappers that I grew up on are just kind of like passing away, and I thought it was kind of just only like a thing that my mom went through, like, oh, like he just passed away, he just passed away. But like seeing their age, it's heartbreaking because they're young, like they're around my age a lot of the times, and but I feel like people like Mac Miller and even Isaiah Rashad, he was a good example of like what drugs can really truthfully do to you, and it affects how it affects your daily life. And Rich Homie Quan may or may not have said it in his songs, but you can kind of tell in his interviews that he was going through it, because I noticed that he was making a lot of weird mouth movements in his interviews whenever he was like asked a question. Like, it didn't seem like it was very natural. It looked like it was very like involuntary, and it's probably something odd to point out, but you can tell when someone's on drugs when they do like weird facial expressions that they cannot control. But I just kind of peeped a few things, and I've always kind of been interested in people that did have substance abuse problems. I've always been interested in that because I feel like it's not just something out of the blue. DMX was one of them. He started doing drugs probably at like, I think 11 or 12 years old, but knowing his background, we know that he was very abused. He was physically and mentally abused by his parents, and the street life is what gave him comfort, and being around pit bulls gave him a lot of comfort. Doing drugs gave him comfort, and doing drugs was always like every time he had a seizure and every time he had an overdose, we were all just kind of like hoping and praying he's not gonna pass. And the day that he passed, I was like, what? It feels a little bit like personal when someone like that passes, and I don't even know what to say, honestly. It's very like hard to put into words. I had this whole plan out on how I was gonna say it, but it is unfortunate. If you do struggle with drug abuse, please get help. Please talk to someone. I feel like a lot of these problems could be preventable. I feel like his death could have been preventable, and that's how I feel about a lot of rappers' deaths. Like, it could have been preventable. Lil Peep, Mac Miller, there's so many more. XXX Tentacion, but I feel like it's all preventable, but it's just like it's too late. People wait too late. A lot of conspiracies around his death, and I can understand why, because his body was moved from one place to another, and it seemed like they were kind of taking too long to, like, there wasn't really like a sense of urgency the first time that his brother noticed that something was wrong. I feel like if it was odd for him to notice that there was food in his mouth and he was laying on the floor, I feel like that should have been your indication, like something is wrong, maybe I should call, and maybe he would have been here. I find it a little sus, because there just seemed like when more details come out, I'm always in shock about this situation, because I'm just like, okay, well now more stuff is coming out, and it seems like there wasn't a sense of urgency. And you know, I don't want to say that he could have lived, but it is a little bit odd that there was like a huge gap from 2 in the morning to like what, 6, 8 in the morning to 11 in the morning. I would have personally called if I noticed my family member on the floor with food in their mouth and they're just not being themselves. Me personally, it just seems like something not to joke around with, but everyone is different. I hope his family heals. I know that his dad is not really taking it well. I don't know much about his mother. His mother wasn't really like online like that, but that's all that I have for this video. This mini docuseries type video, because I like watching like music documentaries and I grew up watching them, so I'm hoping you like this type of style of editing. Let me know your thoughts on this video. If you have anything else additional to add about his story, feel free to do so. I know that I didn't get everything because like I didn't talk about too much about Young Thug and their relationship. I know that they've always been really close, but I didn't really find a lot of stuff around their relationship, friendship, because it's just kind of hard to find it. Like, it's really hard to find stuff on Rich Homie Quan. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe, and even share this video. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe. Turn your post notifications, because I try to post once a week, mostly commentary videos. See you next week. Bye guys.